going on, guys? Today we have a 2005 Town & Country Chrysler, and I'm getting a code I'll show you on the screen now for the transmission. And what that code is the input sensor. Now you can get this kit on Amazon. It comes with the input and the output. If you look, they're pretty much the same, but the thread pitch is different and the shape is different on the end. But the plugs themselves are exactly the same. So what you're going to need is your new sensors. You're going to need a 1-inch socket on a swivel, maybe an extension, and a flathead screwdriver to remove the clips. So I'll show you the location of each sensor. This sensor is like, this sensor is, here's the exhaust and the transmission dipstick. You're going to look right past the transmission cooler lines, and you can see right there my flashlight pointing at it. Right there is your, I believe, the input, maybe it's the output, but that's right there, and it looks like you can get it from underneath this wire harness. There's a wire harness right here. Now the other sensor is all the way to the right of that. Here's the shifter. It's right there. See if I can get a good picture for you. Let's see. Right there. Now this one you might be able to get through the this side of the tire. You might have to take the tire off. But now this might not be your issue. The other thing I had to do with this transmission, and the reason I'm replacing these sensors is I know it's not an electrical problem, is I took this fuse relay panel. There's a few screw bolts holding it on, which I'll try to show you. Yeah, there's a bolt, one single bolt right down there. Kind of hard to get it in focus here. On the front, and then I believe it should just snap apart. There's like a little clasp right here. You kind of just push this clasp and you should be able to fold this up. Now what I did is I took each individual plug. There's about, I think, 10 plugs behind this thing plugged into it. What I did is I took every single plug out, made sure everything was clean, and what wasn't, I sprayed PB Blaster on it. I let it soak in PB Blaster for probably about a half hour. I scrubbed everything with a toothbrush, and then I washed it with soap and water, dried it up, and then plugged all of the connections back in. So you want to make sure none of your connections on the bottom side are green. That eliminated my first problem, which was a to B slip or A to B solenoid, something like that. So there was something funny with that. So if you can get this all nice and cleaned up and sprayed down, and then what I did after that is I just coated everything with a WD-40. Don't leave the PB Blaster on because it eats through plastic eventually. It makes the plastic brittle. But yeah, so basically what you're going to do is unclip the wire right there, the wire, and then hopefully we can unscrew it. So I'm going to do that off camera real quick because I can't hold and do it, but I'll show you what the hole looks like. Alright, I was able to get this one out really easy, and that was the front one here. I had not really any issue taking off the wire. The wire came off nice, and not really much transmission fluid came out at all either. Just a little drip on the threads, so not too bad. So I'm gonna screw that one in and plug it back in, and then I'm gonna do that one there, which I think I'm gonna do through the tire. Maybe it depends how much room I have to put my hand down there. Now, one thing to note is you only need to tighten it down to get this seal crushed a little bit. Don't do what I did. And I'm using a 12-point socket. If you could use a 6-point socket, would be way better, but that's a new sensor installed and plugged in. But I did kind of skip a little on it, so don't over tighten it, but it should be fine. It's just going to be a pain to get back out. I'll have to buy a 6-point. Hopefully I don't have to do this again, but so yeah, we're going to change the next one now. Alright, actually this one on the side is easier to get to. If you use a crescent wrench, you can get right down in there. And I found out what was wrong with mine. This is a little bit of some metal shavings on here, so it was probably throwing the sensor off. But yeah, not too bad. If you completely clean all the plugs on the underside of this, everything is nice, not corroded. You replace both these sensors and you're still having an issue, it could be the solenoid pack. That's that box right yeah, it's hard to get in there. There's a box right there, you can see it, and that has a big harness plugged into it with a 10mm bolt. That's an expensive part to replace. Hopefully you don't have to do that, but definitely check your wires, make sure nothing's burnt, nothing's ripped. A lot of the transmission problems on these cars come from either corroded wires, ripped wires, burnt wires, or like I said, these two sensors. So good luck. I hope this helps somebody out.